Raise your hand if you're an aspiring writer, an aspiring artist, an aspiring musician, actor, or you just want to be more creative with your life. I thought so. I remember sitting at a conference, not a whole lot unlike this one, and being asked that same question by one of the speakers. My inner Hermione practically jumped out of her chair. Me, pick me. I want to be creative. Please, pick me, please. The thing is, it's actually a trick question. It turns out there's no such thing as an aspiring creative. Think about it for a second. We don't call ourselves aspiring plumbers, aspiring neurosurgeons, or aspiring stockbrokers. And yet we all too quickly tack on that qualifier, aspiring, to anything in the arts. We call ourselves aspiring actors, aspiring writers, aspiring musicians, aspiring artists. Why is it that in just about any other field, we can just be, we can do the work, but in the arts, we must aspire? I believe that every single person in the world has a story to share. I believe that each and every one of us has a creative spark that will light up the world. The problem is most of us have that spark squashed out of us before we reach adulthood. And personally, I think this has to do with some myths perpetuated, not to throw any blame around or anything, but by the artistic establishment. 3 of these myths are especially insidious. The first is the velvet rope myth. This is the idea that creativity is an exclusive club. Either you're in it or you're not. It's kind of like the grown-up version of not being allowed to sit in the cool kids' table at the lunchroom. I actually ran up against the same myth not too long ago when I was taking a painting class. I decided, as one of the assignments, to combine knit and crocheted elements with acrylic on canvas, and I was so excited with the result. I couldn't wait to bring in my painting to show the class. And when I finally did, and I showed it to the professor, she took one look at it and said, "Oh, that's nice, but it's not art. It's a little too craftsy for this class." That hurt. It broke me. For about 30 seconds. Then I went home and did what any self-respecting word nerd would do. I looked up the words art and craft in the dictionary. And here's what I found out. According to Merriam-Webster, art is skill acquired through study and observation, whereas craft is skill in executing or maneuvering. In other words, both words have skill at their core. But craft is skill acquired by doing the thing, whereas art is skill we attain when we watch someone else do it. We live in a culture where art, that skill acquired through study and observation, is put up high on a pedestal. But the daily grind of mastering the craft is treated as base and rudimentary. This is especially problematic for people who are new to their creative journey. They are so afraid of failing at reaching that high art status that they never actually do all of that grunt work it takes to get there. They never share their work with the world. That brings me to the second myth. This is the polish it until it's perfect myth, kind of like Gollum in Lord of the Rings going, "My precious." We hoard our ideas, and we never actually let anyone see it until it's absolutely perfect. Now, this leaves out a key aspect of the creative process, which is that it's not enough just to do the work for ourselves. We have to have someone else out there to receive it. It's like that tree falling in the forest. If we paint a painting and no one sees it, if we write a story and no one reads it, if we sing a song and no one hears it, does it really exist? More importantly, does it really matter? This brings me to the third creative myth, the big idea myth. This is the notion that all you need is that one big idea, and then you milk that cash cow for all it's worth. Now, if you've operated in a creative field for about 30 seconds, you know that having one idea is not a smart move. Again, the problem with this myth is that people will wait their whole lives for that one big idea, and they never look at the little ideas, the glorious, delicious, beautiful, small ideas they have along the way. In other words, we're living in a situation where art, high art, is on one side of a gigantic wall, and we are stuck on the outside looking in. Let's talk about that wall, shall we? When I think of the wall, I think of the movie Superman 2, and that scene where Lex Luthor breaks out of prison. You know the one. He doesn't climb over the wall, or go under the wall, or chip through the wall Shawshank Redemption style. He doesn't do any of those things. Instead, he escapes from prison in a hot air balloon. This approach is ludicrous, but the wall itself is ludicrous. And frankly, the only way to tackle a ridiculous problem is with a solution that is even more ridiculous. The truth is, we don't have to go over the wall, or under the wall, or through the wall, or do any of those things. We simply have to recognize the truth. That wall isn't there. The problem isn't out there. It's in here. And that's actually a good thing. Because when we blame obstacles like the artistic establishment or the wall for our lack of creative work, we are handing over all the power. I believe in telling people the truth, even when that truth is hard to hear. You must take responsibility for your creative work. And when I say responsibility, I mean two things. First, I mean you actually have to do the work because no one else is going to do it for you. Let's face it, if we don't shut up, sit down, and do the stinking work that will get us there, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Now, what that work will look like will be different for each and every one of us. For some, it might be traditionally artistic pursuits, like painting, or music, or acting, or art. But for others, it might be a little more run-of-the-mill, maybe even ordinary. It might be, for you, coming up with the most epic recipe for gluten-free cookies of all time, in which case I kind of want it. Or it might be coming up with a way to bring the two clashing personalities at your office together and getting them to work as a team once and for all. Or it might be finding out a way to get your kid to finally eat broccoli. I'm not here to judge what type of creativity is better than the other. Frankly, I think creativity is creativity. Simply by being human, just by existing, we are already inherently creative. We simply have to embrace it as such. And then we have to trust that if we do that daily work, that day in, day out mastering of the craft, it will create meaning, not just for ourselves, but for somebody else. That brings me to the second side of responsibility. And this is that creativity is a responsibility we all have to the world. When we create, we take physical things. We take ink scribbles on a page, colors on a canvas, musical notes vibrating through the air. Or yes, even those gluten-free cookies we've just pulled out of the oven. And we turn those things into ideas, into feelings. And then we plant those feelings in another person. Creativity can be an act of persuasion, an act of defiance, an act of service, an act of love. But most importantly, it is a responsibility. It's magic. It's a superpower that each and every one of us has. And it's our responsibility to use it. Thank you.